The easiest thing I've done was to get out from under the labels and to live the life that I live. The most difficult thing I've ever done was to believe that I can do it.
What's the difference?
The difference is that when you don't know what's impacting you, and it's something that's holding you down and you're not aware of it. There are things that when you, in my situation, when you live in a dominant culture that is designed to destroy your sense of self and your belief in yourself, and you have to learn ways in which you can begin to connect with this power that you have within yourself to handle where you are. The key is to be constantly in a perpetual process of discovering the truth of who you are and fighting constantly to look for ways in which you can escape the inner conversation. But that's an ongoing process of constantly interrupting that conversation, what psychologists call your self-explanatory style, because life is going to beat up on you in so many ways, and many things, they come back, negative thoughts and how you feel about yourself, they don't die. They come back once you stop doing the maintenance work on your mind, listening to motivational messages, going to seminars and workshops, spending time quietly listening to the still small voice within. Who am I really? Is this really me? Am I giving my best? Am I just reflecting what's around me? Because all of these various things affect how we show up in life. And so having a strategy to continuously find ourselves reaching higher. Robert Schuller had a book, it's not very popular, but I loved it. It's called Peak to Peak, U-P-E-A-K to P-E-E-K, because you're constantly reaching higher to find out and discover your better self. There's a real you. Richard Wright said it best. He said, the impulse to dream has slowly been beaten out of me through the experiences of life. So when you live in a culture that is designed to destroy your sense of self, where you are marginalized, where you have a feeling of being hopeless and powerless, and you're terrorized. I remember going downtown with my mother, and I saw a water fountain. I think I was about 5 years old, and I ran and I drank from the water fountain. All of a sudden, she grabbed me by the neck and said, "Don't you ever do that again," and start punching me in the back of my head and my face, and got me down on the ground, was punching me relentlessly. And I said, "Mama, please, it's me, Mama, it's me," with this crazed look in her eyes. And then a white policeman came, and he had a nightstick in his hand. He was hitting it in his left hand.
Oh.
He said, "Okay, all right, you beat that little nigger boy enough. Now, I won't have to beat him with this nightstick." And he walked away laughing. And my mother broke down and started crying and saying, "Leslie, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." I said, "Mama, why'd you beat me like that?" She said, "These water fountains are for white only, son. And if that cop had hit me with his nightstick, he would have to kill me. I'd have fought him till he killed me, and I'd left you and your brothers and sisters by themselves to raise themselves. I'm so sorry." And the book called Learned Optimism, Seligman talk about the fact that between ages 0 and 5, we determine what's available to us and what's not available to us. And so that was a defining moment. I knew there are certain things I could not do, certain places I could not go. They used to have signs on Miami Beach that said, "Jews, dogs, and coloreds not allowed." And so now you have to operate within the constraints of the dominant society and the things that they've created for you. And it's a challenge to see yourself beyond that and to work to get outside of that, even after those laws have changed, because that has become so much a part of you. You unconsciously operate within the parameters of what has been put in place. Like you're driving on the expressway, the 405, and you'll get off on an exit that you weren't going in that direction, but you unconsciously did it because you've done it so many times that many people, because they're not making a conscious, deliberate, determined effort to think outside of what life has thrown at them, they end up doing the same thing over and over and over again. Einstein said that thinking that has brought me this far has created some problems that this thinking can't solve. And so through relationships, through reading, through studies, through goals and dreams beyond your comfort zone, it allows you to begin to live out of your imagination as opposed to out of your history.
Going back to the way that the dominant culture can dismantle so many people, what are ways that the dominant culture is dismantling people's creativity, their very spirit today, that people should be watching out for?
Well, just think about if you were an immigrant and you're watching television and you see people who can come from white cultures with no problems whatsoever, like the president's in-laws, but brown people coming from other countries, they're separated from their children and put in cages, and there's a silence. There's not millions of people protesting and saying, this is not who we are as a country. This is inhumane. I believe that all of us have a responsibility that we want to live a life that will outlive us. Those experiences, they challenge you to go to that next level and continue to move forward in your life, doing new and exciting things that eye has not seen, ear has not heard, nor has entered the heart of mankind what God has in store for you when you live a heart-centered life, deciding that you're going to live a life that will outlive you. You're going to live a life that counts, a life that will build a legacy and change the planet. You know, Horace Mann said, we should be ashamed to die until we've made some major contribution to humankind. And so my goal is to make a major contribution to humankind. I believe that we're taught, be ye not conformed to this world, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Is because,
what does that mean? Like, that sounds slick as hell, but I don't actually understand.
I know it. What it means is that don't live the life that has been given you.
By the culture, by your parents.
By their circumstances, by the people that's around you. That Sidney Poitier wrote a book called The Measure of a Man. And he said, when you go for a walk with someone, something happens without being spoken. He said, either you adjust to their pace or they adjust to your pace. Whose pace have you adjusted to? I would teach my kids that you have to transform your mindset. You have to continuously upgrade your relationships. My youngest son, John Leslie, poses a question. He said, when you have goals and dreams you want to achieve, he said, ask yourself the question, who should I count on and who should I count out? And so many people never achieve their goals because they have too many toxic, negative, energy-draining people in their lives. And you have to have goals outside of your comfort zone that will challenge you, because in order to do something you've never done, you've got to become someone you've never been. And you got to have a mentor who's experienced, who's been there, done that. And as a result of that relationship, because you can't see the picture when you're in the frame. Muhammad Ali said, I'm the greatest, but he never won a championship without Angelo Dundee. And Michael Jordan never won a championship without Phil Jackson. So you've got to have someone that can see something in you that you can't see, that can take you to a place within yourself that you can't go by yourself. So I would teach them the value of having a life coach, that life is an adventure and it's going to be a challenge, and get ready because you're going to fail your way to success. You're going to get slapped around by life. And don't spend time complaining about it and telling everybody 80% don't care and 20% glad it's you. This is a time where you have to be hungry because According to the Department of Labor, over 20,000 people lose their jobs every month and being replaced by artificial intelligence. And so I used to sell television sets. A guy named Sam Axelrod knock on the door. Hello, hi, would you like to buy a good working television set? Nobody down. And they know you're going from door to door. And he would call the guys together when it gets so late and say, okay, we gotta go. And he would call everybody to the car. And he said, wait a minute, he counted ahead. Hey, Leslie's not here. And I could hear him saying, hey, Leslie, come on to the car. And I said, no, Sam, why not? I said, I'm not gonna stop until I sell a television set. I haven't sold yet. No, nobody's sold anything yet. I don't care, Sam. I've got to do this. I made a commitment. I'm going to make enough money to put groceries on our table. And I would knock sometimes 10:30 at night. And, hi, would you like to buy a nice working television set? No money down? Do you know what time it is? Yes, I do. I'm going to buy groceries for our family. Somebody's going to buy a nice working television set from me tonight, and it might as well be you. And they say, come on in here, fool, it better be a good one. So I learned how to be unstoppable. When he came to pick the other guys up, we had to wait till they got dressed, but I would be standing out front looking for him, waiting, because I was hungry. I aspire to inspire until I expire.